Good evening, everybody, classmates and tutor. Today we're going to discuss about three important topics concerning Colombian education. In first place, we're gonna talk about if Colombia has improved when it comes to education for the last years. Secondly, we're gonna give our overall thoughts concerning a project called Escuela Nueva. And finally, we're gonna share our thoughts regarding the school, the assessment system. That's why in the panel we have three people, Elizabeth Niño, Lina Sepúlveda, and me, Leonardo Sanchez. That's why I'm gonna start off by asking Lina, what do you think about Colombia's situation, Colombian education? Do you think it has improved, or maybe there are some drawbacks or obstacles? What's your take on this?
Okay, I want to talk about the education in Colombia need to change because it's very old. Actually, they have a lot of troubles. For example, they have a plan, the 10-year plan, where all the kids in Colombia need to have the access to the education. If we start to talk about the bilingualism, this is very complicated. The second language in the.
What do you think about this, Elizabeth? What's your opinion?
I think, like Lina says, Colombia has improving in many ways its education programs, but in the last years, I think there are many the Colombian system needs more resources for keep improving. Talking about the universities and the institutes, for example, the situation in the last month with the public universities, they have run out of money and they need more support from the government.
Yeah, if you ask me, although maybe some people say that Colombia has had a positive impact when it comes to the improvement of education, I consider that in my experience, there are some obstacles that I have to take into consideration to begin with. When I was working as a teacher in a public school, there were problems in order for me to create an enjoyable class, as sometimes maybe I wanted to use the internet, but there wasn't a good connection, or maybe because of the structures of the institution, it doesn't enable me to use, for example, videos, television. Students tend to consider this class sometimes boring, but I had to do something different. It was what I didn't like about this issue. And the problem is that the government doesn't want to support, doesn't want to endorse some schools, and inclusively some rural schools. For example, I have a friend of mine by name of Esperanza who is working in a rural area, and the problem that she had for the most part is that she needs to work at least 5 hours or maybe 6 if it's raining too much in order to get to the school. And sometimes she has to go by riding a horse, and this is something very troublesome. It's very difficult to understand, and it's because the government doesn't want to invest money not only in institutions but also, for example, in roads. I say roads because, as I was pointing out before, there are some teachers who work in rural schools that have to walk many hours in order to get to a specific rural school. That's what I want to share with you. Now let's go with the second question that is regarding the Escuela Nueva. Lina, what can you tell me about this important issue?
I think the Escuela Nueva is an interesting methodology that we can apply in rural places. It's very interesting because the students can learn something for their real lives. For example, how to raise animals or how to plant vegetables or stuff like that. And this is important because can be nice learning for them. Also, they have spaces where they can collaborate together as a group or each other. And it's nice, actually. I think this model is very nice. The only problem is when they have to move or something like that. And they don't have the same methodology than the Escuela Nueva in the new place. But I think it's a very nice model, I guess. What do you think, Elizabeth?
I agree with you. This is a great model methodology because it is based in a in the collaborative strategy. But I think that it has many problems because the teachers have to work with less than 10 or 15 students in one classroom. If they have more than this amount of students,
Yeah.
they couldn't work or organize the classroom, and the students will do anything other things. I think this is a problem, and another problem is that it can't be applied to schools, urban schools, because here the teacher, if the teacher with using the Escuela Nueva model has to be very specific in each student because this model is personalized in the necessities of each student, and they need continuous feedback, individually feedback for reach their achievements.
Yes.
Yeah, very interesting thought about Escuela Nueva.
Yes.
If you ask me, I would say that, first of all, it is very positive as the government is taking advantage of some rural areas where people don't have the funds in order to maybe to study in places, for example, in capitals. That's why another thing that I like about this issue is simply that, how could I say that? For example, as students, as Lina was pointing out, students can have the opportunity to put into practice all the things that they learn in real life. And this is very significant, as you know, maybe when they graduate from school, they could invest their time in something that they like because they have studied since they were in high school. But I consider that a drawback that could be taken into consideration was what I mentioned before, and this is what some people doesn't tell you, and it's the fact that some teachers need to travel, need to walk for some hours, many hours, in order to get to those rural places. And this is a daunting, exhausting task for them, as when they leave school, what they want to do is to relax, because they are very tired from the trip that they have to do every single day in order to get to those schools. And another thing that I would like to highlight would be a problem that many teachers complain for the most part, and it's about when you have more than 20 students, 30, 40 students. This is very problematic, troublesome, as you as a teacher have many problems in order to manage the class. So it is better when you have a class with at least 15 students. This is going to be more enjoyable for you and for students. You could learn best, as you could learn better as you are working with them in conjunction, and everything is going to be for the better. It's going to be good in the end.
Yes.